Hi everybody, my name is Rigga. I'm a rapper, singer, songwriter, music producer, and the managing director at Chumbani Media Limited. And I'm here with my boy Webi, and we're talking about Let the Light In.
That's a new EP that's coming out. Actually, the official release date is on the 19th of February, and you've probably had and seen me talk about that quite a bit. But it is available for pre-order right now. And so what we're hoping to do here is really just give you a behind the scenes of our experience recording it. And I must say that a lot of that experience was very unexpected.
Yes.
Because I remember, we've done 2 songs together, right? So there's Umenitoa Mbali, which is the single we're going to be talking about in just a moment.
Yeah.
And then I produced a song called Groove Away, which you came and just did some magic on.
Yeah, I did additional production.
You
produced a song on this EP, guys.
Yeah, and none of that was anything that I can say I saw coming. Mm-hmm. So, if I recall very correctly, towards the end of 2019, we came up with this idea to do a Christmas recording together. Really just a Christmas single.
Yes.
And so, you talked about it, and the immediate idea I had was to do a Taita song. Because, we're both from there. Yeah. We talked to Shinde. Yeah. One Love Shinde.
Yes.
And,
my cousin, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Taitas are all related. Yeah, fine. Anyway. We've had thanks. So... But it didn't turn out that way. And first of all, it turned out that she wasn't able to make it. Then for some reason, we weren't able to make the session happen.
Was. In fact, by the way, pro tip: don't try and do a Christmas song in December.
Yeah, we were totally down.
Yeah.
But then we realized that we had an opportunity to create something.
Yeah.
And I think this is really now what built the conversation towards us having a session that led to Umenitoa Mbali.
Yeah.
What I really loved about how we ended up doing Umenitoa Mbali was it started with a conversation.
Yes.
And you told me that most of the sessions that you end up doing, even with other artists, it starts as a conversation and then it builds into a song.
Correct.
And so, what also I loved about doing Umenitoa Mbali, really this is just this was my experience of it, was the fact that I was explicitly writing a new song with someone, and it was, hey, I'm thinking this line. Then you'd be like, no, let's change that word. That word doesn't sit over there. Yeah. Okay, let's try and make this poetic, but let's also tell the story.
Yeah.
And the conversation that we had been having before Umenitoa Mbali became this is what we're doing.
Yes.
Was really just the journey of traveling from a certain point in my life, for instance. We're talking 3 years back from that point. And it had been a season of wilderness. Yeah. But what was the special thing for you? I mean, because you put in equal weight into the song,
yeah, was interesting because working with you, I haven't been a producer for very long, so working with you presented a new challenge,
right?
So from a sonic standpoint, it was that was the first time that I was working with intensive acoustic guitars.
Right. So because that's what was going to be heavy on the song.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, that's what we started with. So even before we had a song per se, you laid down lots of guitar lines.
Ideas, yeah.
So we're like, oh, okay, we like this progression. Play this rhythm. Play it like this. Play it like this. Yeah. This could be this section. Could be this. So basically, this was us brainstorming.
Right.
And then you left me with the acoustic guitars. So I was like, okay, so now I need to carve them out and make a song out of what we did.
Yeah.
So it was fun building around the acoustic guitars.
Yeah.
Then now when it came to what you're talking about doing the just back and forth on the lyrics.
Yeah. Because it's a very heavy lyric song. I mean, this what's the thing that's going on so much in that song, more than anything else, is really what is being said.
Yeah, because it also made me reflect on my own journey and just be like, okay, God, you have brought me from far.
Indeed.
Yeah, so it although I was resisting it at first, it became very apparent that I should also be in the song.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I was like...
The approach was that you're going to produce the thing, and then it's Webi session, so, you do what you're going to do.
Exactly.
And then, let's see where it goes from there, but then it ended up being something.
I didn't want to be that producer, that P. Diddy producer who's forcing his way onto the artist.
At the intro, you say your name and then you bounce.
Yeah, I'm there in the video dancing. Yeah. I was like, nah. So I just knew this was Webi's song, but as we talked about it, we said there were so many themes that were common. it's not just your story, it's our story.
Really?
And it's the story of anybody who's been in a journey with faith with God, that you can look back and be like, yeah, this is every time I stop and reflect is an Ebenezer moment.
Right there.
Yeah, thus far the Lord has brought me.
And even more significantly is the year in which we were writing that song. Because I mean, at that time, if let's assume you're watching this video 10 years from when we've made it, a pandemic was going on.
Yes.
And I mean, as at this time when we're talking, we're still dealing through the effects of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But even just talking about that in the context of Umenitoa Mbali was, God was literally just creating the ground. I tend to look at it also as an opportunity to experience. I think God was trying to show us that truly He's in control, because that's what I think He was saying a lot in that season. Yeah. None of you are in control.
Yes.
I'm the one who's really running things. I mean, of course, we don't say that, you know, the deplorable state in which the world was in was a good thing. I mean, people lost jobs, people lost their lives. A lot of crazy things happened. But for those who would be willing to find traces of God in the craziness, they would actually see traces of God in the craziness. And for us, I think...
actually, I have a lyric, because we wrote it, it was end of 2019 into beginning of 2020,
Correct.
even
before the pandemic had started.
Yeah, but like my verse goes, true story, every time I'll tell it, I'ma give you glory. Though maisha imekuwa movie, drama, suspense, you are still proving yourself to be in control.
That was such a theme right there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you were speaking prophetically, but you know, it didn't have to take a pandemic for us to know that ultimately God is in control. Yeah. Because, you know, looking at, like, if I'm looking at my experience, for instance, we're going back from the time when, you know, I'd released the Lukundo album, I'd released some music in between. I had different ideas of what I thought the music would be, or what it would do, or how the outcome of releasing it would present itself. And I'd had a lot of disappointments in my journey personally, because I really wanted things to go a certain direction and they didn't. So to some degree I started to think, okay, did God step out of this situation and I'm out here just striving and pushing this thing? Because why am I fighting and I'm in a battle that seems rigged? I'm rigged. It's I don't know how to say
it's rigged against you.
Yeah. So, you know, what's this about? Yeah. And I think that what God was saying essentially throughout that time is, I'm in control. You don't see everything, but I'm in control. And when you look back, and I think this is one of the things that I even say in the Let the Light In devotions, one of the days where I say, one of the ways to refill on hope is, especially when you're faced with the uncertainty of life, is to look back.
Yes.
Because when you see how God has led you over the course of a journey, however long that looks like, it gives you hope for what comes next, because you're like, even back there, I didn't know that I'd get here. So that means even in this moment, whatever's coming next, I'll be looking back at this moment and saying, yo, that was big then. Now it's this, whatever was the ceiling is now the floor, essentially.
And like, I mean, hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah.
So when you look back, you're like, oh, now I can see things clearer. Yeah. When you're in the moment, you're like, it's not making sense.
So the truth is, we weren't even building a radio single, as it were. I mean, of course, it would be fantastic if radio picks this up and plays it big time. But really what we're doing is we're giving a testimony. And that was so important. And I felt that then there must be the declaration of a testimony, because we're going to need to go back to that testimony at some point in the future. And we also needed to encourage someone. I felt there was a joined need, or I think we agreed at the point of understanding we need to encourage someone else who's going through the same thing, and help them to see that God is working in their lives, even though it doesn't look like it. And obviously we can't talk about this song without giving a big shout out to Ivy Alexander, who jumped in on the record. Like, yo, Ivy, wherever you are, God is about to blow the roof off and let you out loose. Another
person that we need to give a big shout out to is Seda.
Absolutely. Like, I just called the guy and I was like, yo, I've got this song, and I really feel like you need to be on it.
So Ivy played guitars and Seda played bass on the song, and they complemented what we were trying to do and what we were saying so beautifully. Like, only God could have orchestrated that.
Really. And it was such a divine appointment, because I had no idea that that's where the song would go. You know, I mean, we were just taking advantage and making use of a session that was now left open. But then let me just jump right into the song that followed that, because I started writing the song Groove Away, and at the time I was writing it, to be honest, I was in a despondent place. I mean, again, I guess I tend to write my best stuff when I'm in a sucky place in life. Really, that's the story. I'm in a sucky place and I'm just not seeing the end.
Yeah.
And it just looks to me like, man, first of all, the inspiration to write a celebration song that's such a paradox.
Yes.
But I just felt really strongly that was what needed to be in the album, because now when I look at the EP in context, in its full perspective, I realize it starts at a despondent place and then it finishes at a celebratory place.
Yes.
And that's a cycle that we tend to experience in life. We're getting out of a battle, we're getting into a battle, but in between there's everything that's happening.
Yes.
And initially, I was just going to produce the song 100% on my own and just see if it fits with the album. But then, one thing led to another. I called you up about it and I said, hey, I think this song is missing something.
Yeah.
Would you lay eyes on it? We'll see what we're gonna do, where it can go.
But let me even just jump right in and give you the credit that you do there. Because for those who know anything about software, like Webi did the bulk of the song on his phone.
GarageBand.
Yeah. So the cool thing, he was on Apple. I use a Mac, so we were able to transfer that same project onto the software that I use, Logic. So I was able to build it out a bit further there, but really, you had laid the structure, so it was just me being like, okay, so now how do I enhance what you had already done? So this one, I will gladly say I did additional production, but the main production was done by Webi himself.
Yeah, thank you for that, man. I appreciate it. And it's really a huge part on the back, because I'm also a very new producer. In fact, in contrast or in comparison to your journey, mine intensified perhaps maybe through the middle of 2019 going down, and then I didn't do much of it in 2020. I think there's only one song that I produced 100% in 2020 and put out, which is a love song. It's in honor and celebration of my marriage and getting to 10 years anniversary. But even then, as much as I take that much credit as you say, the truth is that there was something that had been deposited with you, and I think that there was something that you had that would make the song complete, and that's what I loved about working on that song with you. That we didn't do any revisions, like whatever it is we did, whatever additional stuff you did, that was it. That was the missing link. That was the missing piece of the puzzle. And I've loved the 3-year journey of doing this EP. You came into it pretty much in the end of 2019.
Yes.
The process started in 2018, and a bulk of the work actually happened through 2018. Very little was done in 2019. I think maybe 1 or 2 songs. Then we worked together 2019, the end, 2020, most of it. And then, as you'll see in a different video, I also had some work done with Ihaji, who's the other producer. So essentially this project has 3 producers.
Yes.
Ihaji, Rigga, and myself.
Yeah.
And what it now stands at, where it's come to, is this work of art that is worship inspired, is testimony inspired, and is a completely new path, because also you ended up mastering the whole EP.
Well, let me say something about that. That was when you invited me to help out in that way. That was okay. In the audio production process, that is my weakest link in the chain. Right. It's the place where I feel least confident.
Okay.
Because mastering is it's not as intense as mix engineering. However, when you don't know what you're doing, the slightest, it's like cosmetic surgery.
Right.
If the slightest wrong cut I could hit a nerve and then I botched the whole thing. So I was really worried about it, because when I listened to the songs from top to bottom, I knew for a fact the quality is top notch, and not only that, they are anointed. So I didn't want to be the guy to mess up the anointing at the final stage. I was like, I can't be that guy. So
I understand that apprehension, by the way, because I think that's the thing we agreed on, that there's something here.
Yeah.
And so even I was approaching it with the same humility.
Yeah.
For this can't be about ego or about
Yeah.
it can't be about that.
Yeah.
So I get you. I get what you're saying.
So when I actually did it, I was like, okay, God, if He's asked me to do this and I have agreed, you have to be the one to help me to do this thing.
Right.
So I stay away from mastering my own projects because I feel like I'm biased in that I mixed it, so I'm not objective. But this one I was like, okay, God,
okay.
help me see it, help me envision what it should sound like.
Right.
And surprisingly, it didn't take that long.
You actually had a turnaround of about a day, and so I must give you credit because first of all, you did such a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
And it was also the missing link of what needed to make the project complete. And you know, I bless God for that, because I think I've come to appreciate the significance of divine appointments.
Yeah.
When the project started, it started out one place and it has ended up a different place, and everything that has happened in between has been just one thing joining up with another, then linking up here, then getting this. I mean, even how Ivy, Sadar, and on different songs we had Victor Kimeto.
Yes.
If I could just give them a shout out right now, Victor Kimeto played keys on My Light. I had Maina Makumi who played bass on the very first song, which is Help, and we had some vocalists as well in the very first song, Help, because there's a choral section. We had Charity Nyambura, Kendi Nkonge, now Kendi Mohol. And Isaac Kimani, people who I absolutely appreciate, respect, love. We've been together in this journey for some time, you know, and it was such a divine appointment because I didn't know they'd be on the project.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it looking back is that it all just worked so well. There was such synchrony, and there was such an agreement. And I mean, if I could do it all over again, I'd pick the same guys, to be honest, because the truth is, I don't know anybody, not that there's no other gifted person out there, but I don't know anybody else would give it the oomph or the life that it has than the very people who come together for this. And so, you know, this brings us now to talking about Umenitoa Mbali again, but in context of releasing it as the first single.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm gonna share a date, but then again, maybe the date I'm thinking is not the date Rigga wants, because, you know, again, we're together in this project. This is also part of the behind the scenes. Sometimes, you know, what works for one person doesn't work for the other person, and other. So as of the point that you're going to be seeing this video, I think, you know, let's pick a date next week, because I'm gonna edit this video and just put it out by the end of this week.
Wow. Okay. These are roadside declarations, as you can see.
Yeah, we lived through the Moi era.
Yeah. But I guess I'm game. Let's release it to the people. Let's share what it is God has given us. So yeah, we're excited to share it. When you say let's do it, let's do it.
So that's what's coming next. The first single off of the Let the Light EP is Umenitoa Mbali. It's a song that we're very proud to have worked on together. Yeah. It's a song that's very meaningful to us because it's really our testimony, and we hope that it encourages you and blesses you. And thank you, Rigga, for being part of this project, really, because I obviously wouldn't have been able to complete it without your contribution. So thanks, man.
And thank you for trusting me, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yo, go get the Let the Light EP and let it bless you.
Don't sleep on this EP. Yeah. This EP is fantastic.
Hallelujah.
Umenitoa mbali.